professionals communicate their value to find great new jobs faster. Welcome to FAQ Friday with Andrew. We're using a hashtag. You'll see it on the screen. Hashtag Red Quorama. That's for Reddit. Quora. Ask me anything. Virtually anything. You can access the chat. Just put a question in there. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Let me make sure that everything's functioning right here on YouTube because there is a little bit of a buffer. I like to make sure that's happening. Let me know where you're joining from. We're going to have a great day today, finding out some things about each other. Let me just make sure I mute this tab. Good. It looks like the chat is working. I'll just go in here and say something in YouTube to make sure it's working, and it looks like it is. Okay, so I want to be able to share that to my LinkedIn. So I will copy that. Hang on, I'm just sharing it over to my LinkedIn, so just bear with me. Let me know where you're joining from. Let's see if it works. All right, wonderful. Welcome to FAQ Friday, second edition. And I'll use my own Red Quorama hashtag post. There we go. Hey, welcome everyone. Just wanted to say happy Friday. It's happy hour here at the Beach Homestead. I am excited to discuss some questions that you can see over here. We'll get to those in just a second, but I wanted to start with Antics with Avery. Avery, if you don't know, is my 22-pound Jack Russell Terrier mix. And in the last week, it's been kind of fun. She actually, I'll get it for you. Hang on. You'll love this. Okay, so this is a cushion. This is a cushion off our couch. I don't know if you can see this, but she literally unzipped this entire cushion. You can see how wide that is, I think. Let me get over to my camera real quick so I can make sure that I see. Okay, so you can see how wide this thing is. It's like 3 feet wide. She literally unzipped this whole thing and then chewed the zipper so that all the stinking stuff came out of it. Now, after she did that, after she chewed the zipper, after that she chewed the zipper so you can't zip it closed anymore. Guess what? Time to get a new couch. At least that's what my wife said. So that's what it is. Thank you, dog. I love you. But we have some really good topics today, some themes that I saw in my coaching interactions this week. And the first one really is just kind of an observation. I don't know if you have the same issue when you're on LinkedIn, but I do. I get connection requests all the time, and it sounds almost like a broken record. I don't mind people that just use, personally, the default a connection request. I just go to their profile, and if I feel like it's a good overlap and it makes sense, I'll say yes. However, it's interesting. This week I got a number of connection requests, and I'll actually read them to you. Hi, Andrew. And they use my name. That's nice. I saw that we had a few connections in common and hope that you're up for connecting directly. Always love learning from other business leaders and sharing ideas. Excited to see what you and your team are up to. That's it. So that was okay. I went and looked at the profile and I ended up accepting. But, the interesting thing is, here's the next one. So keep that in mind. Here's the next one. Okay, sorry about that little zippity-doo-dah there. Hi, Andrew. It looks like we have common connections. It would be great to connect directly. If you agree, please accept the invitation to connect. Kind regards. Okay. How's that any different than the regular just, hey, join my network? It's not any different. Hey, we have some common connections. Not uncommon that we have common connections. I think we need to go a little bit farther in the process to determine, what does that really mean? Common connections. Okay. So here's the next one. And these are all kind of generic introductions, but this one I thought was especially impressive. Andrew, we specialize in LinkedIn lead generation and get especially great results for sales coaches and business coaches who coach management and leadership. We work on 100% commission because we are confident in the results we deliver. If you could use more appointments, reply to explore further. So that's a little forward. I don't even know this person. So I always like to use the metaphor of a baseball, first base, second base, third base, and you probably all recognize that particular metaphor. So that was really kind of a third base question. Hey, come over here. I got something for you. And I would really appreciate it if people, when they reached out to me, just said, hey, I see you're doing great work in this area. I'm really impressed by the quality of the content you put out, something of that nature, some area of overlap, or so-and-so recommended that we connect. So not uncommon in the course of a week, I actually have people come to me and say, Andrew, I really appreciate what you did in that particular session that you facilitated. Let's connect. I would be happy to support your success going forward. In fact, here it is. Andrew, I continue to appreciate your webinars. Thank you. And the way you engage those of us in career search. I wanted to stay connected even after my next career. Best regards, this person. So what they did is they actually paid me a compliment. I really like that. I appreciate that you took the time to say thank you. So here's the thing. When you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, maybe start with a compliment, gratitude, develop an understanding of how you could do things in a collaborative way. I see that you have this. I have this. I would like to collaborate with you in this kind of way. I think that's a really great way to get started. Let me check the chat. You can put your questions actually in the chat, and I'll be able to respond to those. I also put the hashtag in the chat as well as my handle here for the handle is the same whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. So just use the handle and the hashtag if you want to share this out with anybody. I'm happy to take a look at that. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Always look for an overlap. Approach with gratitude. Do your best to be genuine and authentic. Because what I found is some people feel like they're actually imposing on you by asking you to connect on LinkedIn. I'm like, this it's just LinkedIn, okay? It's not that big a deal, first of all. But if you're going to reach out to me, don't come from a third base perspective. Come from a first base perspective. Let's see how we can work together, okay? So that's part of it. Now, the reason I bring that up is because I have a number of coaching clients, candidates that I work with that are facing some social anxiety. That there may be engineers. I'm an analytical myself, so it's taken me a lot of time and a lot of training to actually get up and do things like this in front of a camera or even to present. That took a lot of practice. It didn't just happen overnight. And yes, I'm introverted. I like reading. I like inner world of ideas. But I also like being around people, so I can be versatile that way. That's not true of everybody. It took me a lot of time, energy, and effort to get good at sales, to reach out to people I don't know. And so the thing with social anxiety is a lot of times that's an internal reflex. It's a reflex that, hey, I can't do this because there must be an easier way. I think it's really important to recognize that there is that social anxiety, but to realize everybody has some level of social anxiety. I would encourage anybody that's facing that kind of thing to maybe reach out to somebody and do it from a perspective of first degree connection. Somebody that's close to you, somebody that, especially if you're getting started with networking, it's always good to start with people you know and trust first, because they're the ones most likely to help you, first of all. Second of all, you can overcome a lot of your social anxiety by practicing this kind of communication. And the nice thing is, by doing that, you actually engage somebody you maybe haven't reached out to before, or they really appreciate the fact that you trust them enough to actually make them part of the process of you getting better. So just make sure that you consider that when you are approached with any social anxiety. And the other part is, if you need additional support, reach out to a coach, a career coach, a job coach, career counselor, whatever you want to call them. If there's somebody out there that you want to support you, you can certainly come to me, but I'm not here to market my wares, so to speak. I'm just here to answer questions. If you need additional support, I do offer a free coaching session to everybody that wants one. 15-minute session. You can go to my LinkedIn profile or my website and book that. It's totally free. That may not be forever because that's not really a scalable solution for me, but I do offer that in the event that you have a need or an interest or want to really consider what is the option for you. And I found in 15 minutes, I typically can add enough value that you have a breakthrough. And I've done that for probably close to, I don't know, 400 or 500 people like that through LinkedIn already in the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm committed to providing value to you in any way possible. Oh, there's my puppy. Oh, great. Oh, that's stuff I spilled on the floor. Sorry. She's a little distracting, but she's settled down, so she's fine. Avery is her name, just so you know. Antics with Avery. Maybe that's a new segment we'll have here on Happy Hour on FAQ Friday with Andrew. I'll call it Antics with Avery. There we go. Okay. So the next thing is I'm being managed out. So I was approached out of the blue by a gentleman that was facing a situation where he was being managed out of an organization. He was put on a corrective action plan, some sort of performance improvement program. And it was really kind of interesting to talk to him and realize that all of us are probably just one project or one situation away from being managed out of an organization, regardless of your age or income or experience. That stuff, in today's world just kind of happens. And I would encourage you to always have things at the ready. Always have a resume at the ready. Always be networking, okay? And you may be in a position right now where you're like, well, I'm comfortable. Everything's okay. I've seen people like that. And they've been in the same company and worked their way up even to vice president level to just be laid off. That stuff happens. And you don't know when your day may come that you're going to be tapped on the shoulder. So the thing I really appreciated in interacting with this gentleman is he was open to suggestion. And we started talking through some of the components of separation, like, hey, are they going to provide you a severance? Is that going to be a voluntary, or is that going to be a termination for cause? Is there any way that you can work it out that, you maybe have a situation where you can dictate some of the terms of that separation agreement where you get transition coaching and I can help you through that process. So really, there was a lot of components that he hadn't considered, and he was open to suggestion. So the good news, so what I learned from that is always be at the ready, number one. Number two, be the agent of change in your career. Be the agent of strength in your career. Take a position where you're in control of your career future. That means networking with people outside the organization, networking with people inside the organization, having always your resume up to date, your LinkedIn profile up to date, having an emergency fund, some sort of pool of money that if you got to a position where you couldn't take it anymore, you say goodbye, I'm out of here, so that you're not attached to the outcome. Unfortunately, a lot of people are in a job because they're financially obligated. They have so much obligation every month that they can't go anywhere else. And then looking for a job can be stressful because if their employer finds out, then they're in a position where they have to maybe consider that person might be terminated for looking at jobs at other companies. I know that's happened to me. I told that to one of my employers, and the response was, do you have any boxes? Excuse me? Do I have any boxes? Really? Yeah, I'll help you pack. As soon as they found out that I was interviewing at other companies, they helped me leave that day. What they did for me was a favor. What I recognized is they weren't interested in making me happy, coming up with a resolution, finding out why. None of those things were apparent. They did me a favor. I dodged a bullet, figuratively speaking, okay? What I'm suggesting is always be ready. Always be at the ready. Maintain relationships. Have your resume LinkedIn dialed in, and have an emergency fund or some sort of financial runway so that if you decided to quit, it wouldn't harm you. I think that'll give you a lot of peace as you move forward. So, and then, hey, we just released a new podcast episode. In fact, I will put the, let's see. I think I've got, where did I put it? I've got it right here. Oh, I found it. The title of the podcast is What Job Am I Qualified For? Scott and I took some time and really appreciated the interaction there that we had. Let me put that in the chat so you can have it. So when you have a chance, go sign up for the podcast. We have now 48 episodes. 49 is coming up next week. So our first episode was episode 000. Now we're on 047. 048 come out next week. But we really had a good time talking around this idea of finding what job you're qualified for. And it's my impression in today's market that you're really dealing with a situation where the market is moving so fast that the jobs of today will be gone tomorrow. And the jobs of tomorrow have not been created yet. That means if you're pursuing something based on what's on the market today, that job will probably phase out over time. What isn't phasing out is key skills to be successful in the marketplace. And I've identified, I think, generally 2 skills that everybody should be good at doing that will serve you well regardless of what career may come or go. The first one is learning. If you have the skill to know how to learn new things, you will be fine. That means the skills that you have now may not be the skills you need tomorrow, so you need to tool up in advance of that need. Pursue things, education, training, etc., that are of interest to you. Some of that might be around a certification or additional education in software development, professional development provided by your company. You might look at LinkedIn Learning, Coursera. There's all these resources. You know, the nice thing about the internet is it's commoditizing a lot of things. And that means it's also commoditizing education. Sad but true, you can find a lot of great content online for free to tool up your skills. Okay, so go out there, take a look, and see what skills you can learn today. So that's the number one key skill, your ability to learn new things. The second key skill is communication. Being able to communicate face-to-face with other people effectively is a tool that's going to serve anybody well for their entire career. Your ability to stand up, like me, I wasn't good at this kind of thing. I didn't really like public speaking or talking to people I didn't know. I'd rather be off surfing the internet, watching YouTube, reading a book, listening to a podcast, whatever that looks like. I really enjoy the times where it's quiet and it's just me. I do. But I also recognize that my ability to be successful hinges on my ability to communicate well to others in a way that helps them. Being a coach, I'm really dedicated to providing value to other people by helping them get what they want, get where they want to go based on their desires and their skills and their strengths and the things that they hadn't thought about. If I don't have the ability to communicate well with that person, ask the right questions, offer the advice, have a process, then I'm not going to get where I want to go because I can't help them get where they want to go. Please take the time to do those 2 things. 1, always learn new things. Learn something new this year. What is that going to be? Leave it in the comments for me. And if you have any questions, career related or otherwise, please go ahead, leave those in the comments and I'll answer them either at the end of this session or as I come back through after the session is already posted. Okay. So what is it you're going to learn this year? Number 1. Number 2, how can you improve your communication skills? How can you become a better listener? How can I be a better communicator? What is it that's going to serve me well this year in communication wise? Okay. That's what this podcast actually we were talking about is how to identify our skills, our strengths, and what does that look like and how do we find it? And to find what job you're qualified for really involves going through a process of identifying your strengths and then going and talking to people at companies of interest about what they're doing in that area. Not saying, hey, I've got these strengths, but hey, what are you guys doing in the area of fill in the blank. How's that working out for you? What do you feel are skills in that domain that are in high demand but low supply? Where do you see this particular set of skills going, whatever that is, fill in the blank, in the next 2 to 3 years here? So what I do is I turn those interests into questions that you would actually talk about in a professional networking session with another person. Okay, so those are the 2 key skills. So I want to encourage you today, sign up for the podcast, start downloading some of those episodes. There's always something of value in there that you might learn. And then I'm also working on a blog post, and it's going to take some time for me to work through it, but it's going to be based on trust. And how do we build trust with people? And because I think that's really important to this process, to the process of getting the job that you want, or getting promoted, or getting people to adopt your ideas. Yes, communication's involved, but I think it's also trust. People have to trust that you are going to have their best interest in mind, that you are actually out for a win-win. All the things that Covey talks about in the 7 Habits. That's another thing that really kind of came to the forefront this week, is just going back and reviewing what are Covey's 7 Habits and how universally applicable those are, regardless of what industry you might be in. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate you joining today. I really had a good time sharing some of the things that are going on in my coaching business this week. And if you have any questions at all, please go ahead and feel free to leave those in the description, chat, whatever, on whatever platform you're joining. This is available on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and I copy over the link to LinkedIn. So you're more than welcome to join me every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, for FAQ Friday with Andrew. And I hope you have a great happy hour, whatever it is this week or over the weekend. Always take it up a notch. Okay? Be well.